Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to our call-in local show that we do on Thursday nights. I don't know what I was about to say. It's been kind of a fun day. Got to do our show this morning. That was kind of painful, actually. Went longer and more aggressive than I expected it to, and so be it. That's the nature of the beast. Kind of gave me a headache. And then I went and had a really nice sit-down, which we're going to probably play in a week or so, with a guy named Shamgar Connor. He was referenced in our Matt Strickland call-in program, or our Sunday sit-down, rather, so that was kind of good. Had a nice chat, and then I got to go out and throw my kids around in the pool, which, you know what? That's what this is all about. Can't go hang out with your kids. What the heck you doing? So I will invite all of you to join us here. If you are a member of our locals community, you can be a subscriber. You get access to the phone number, and we change it up once a month, and then you can call in and chat with me on this phone right here. You will be on the program, and you will be able to talk to me and all of your buddies out there in the chat. That's what we do. It's just kind of like a little fun thing, so we get to know who the audience is. We, being me and you, get to know who the other people are out there. You hear their stories and so on and so forth. So the phone number... Oh, I better make sure the phone number is open before I say something that I shouldn't. I'll sit here and look at it like a dummy. Let's go ahead and make sure that the unknown callers are now available. So there we go. New phone number, which I think 818 is a Hawaiian number. I don't know why. You have to choose an area code, so I did. It's good to go. So the phone line is open, and I got a couple little treats that don't really make sense in the context of the podcast. So we'll throw that out there as well. And I may actually lead off with one of those. Actually, I'm going to lead off with this one. I don't know why I thought this was funny. This is the first thing I saw today. So that just tells you what kind of day it was going to be. Some people, there's a lot of dummies out there. I guess that's what I'm saying. And here's a video of like a dummy as we get started here. We'll take a phone call whenever you guys are ready. But until then, we're going to watch this guy count money that is wadded up in his pocket, which for some reason I found very entertaining.
You need a what?
$10 bill.
You need a $10 bill for this?
Yep.
Like change, you mean?
No, I want me a $10 bill.
Oh, okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, that's how you keep your money?
Yep.
All crumbled up and stuff. I need to iron this.
You iron that later on, man. I need my $10 bill.
Yeah, I hear you. That's crazy. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You need a $10 bill, you said?
Yep.
There you go.
What the hell? You're right.
I'm trying to tell you. Have a good day.
All right, man.
If you throw over wadded crappy dollars, that dude's going to straighten it out. He's going to give it right back to you the way you need it. I feel like that was staged. I think all these things are staged. I don't think anything on the internet is real anymore. Is that right? Like, we got Trump, we got Elon talking about somebody being on the Epstein list. Bet you that's fake too. It's all fake, right? Apparently 818 is not. It's not the number that I thought it was. It's not a Hawaiian number. It's a Burbank number, which makes sense because I actually used to live in Burbank, and then I was like, yeah, it wasn't even that long ago. It was just in like 2008, and then I started trying to do the math in my head. Like 2008 was a long time ago. It doesn't feel that long. So why are you guys saying this thing is going straight to voicemail? Do you have the proper number? If you have the right number, it should go through. We'll figure it out here. We'll get you going. See. Direct call. Yeah. That's it. It should be good to go. There's nothing that should be stopping it. So, yeah. Well, let me do a test call here. We'll take a test call real quick. Let me see. We'll make sure that we're working. We'll do some troubleshooting here on the air. I'll look at the phone number. If it's on my end, we'll fix it. We'll get it done. We're having issues over on X too. For some reason, I can't stream to X. I never had that problem before. It actually just won't connect, which is strange and kind of unusual. The person that's calling is not available. Why is it not available? We just got the... I just opened up this number, so usually that should be... Well, there you go. It's not calling out. So you guys, you're right. I didn't know it would do that. Let me try to make a phone call. Let me try to call myself. We'll figure it out. While we're doing that, let me put something up that's kind of funny and stupid. This is Ben Barkus or Backus. He's a Canadian comedian, and he makes fun of the mayor of Toronto all the time, which makes me super happy. So let me get this thing phone number fixed out, and we'll send this over.
So we all heard that depressing news at the Home Depot. You know, at Home Depot, they have all the Mexicans stand outside, build a fence. They don't want to support the gay pride parade, so Toronto going to give $400 million to a gay pride parade so that they can dance around with the penis out in front of all the children. This in behind me is the CEO of Burger King, and we're going to make sure they give us all the money for. We're going to be taxing all the rub and tuck to pay for the homeless people and to pay for the gay pride parade. And it's okay, maybe a couple Somalians go to a bar and shoot an AK-47. Nobody care. Big deal. But you know what I'm talking about? There's a gay pride parade. You need to be able to dance around and show a butthole and show all the people about the gay people, and all the children need to also be able to see gay people on the street with a penis and balls. So at Home Depot, I wouldn't go to Home Depot. You wanna buy a rumba? You go to a Home Hardware. You go Canadian Tire. You go somewhere. You go a Rose. You know Rose? It's like a Home Depot, but it's a different letter of the alphabet.
There's something wrong with me. I don't know why that makes me so happy. All right, so it sounds like the phone line didn't want to get connected just yet. Usually we can set them up and it only takes a few seconds, but I guess it is delayed. So I'm going to give you guys another number in the chat here. So just stand by, my friends. I got you covered. We got a second line. I'll get that done and make that one happen. We got backups to backups out here. We're not going to be screwing up. All right, so go ahead and give that on. I gave it a 405 number on that one. So if you guys saw that pop up in our locals chat, that's where it is. And inbound phone call. There we go. Who's on the line? First caller. Maybe. Hello. First caller, no. First caller, yes. I got nothing. Is this on my end now? Now we're just going to be troubleshooting live. Well, I'm gonna put some music on in the background while we figure it out. Can you hear me? Well, that doesn't help. All right, let's just disconnect from Bluetooth. We'll get back on here again. Let's see what we got here. 1, 2, 3. Didn't we do this once before, folks, where like it was probably on my end because I didn't know what I was doing? Seems like it is. The phone's ringing. This is the same stuff we do every week. I know you guys can hear me. It's not on my end. It's something that has to do with this stupid phone. All right, how about that? Caller number 2. Can you hear me? Doesn't seem like it. Yeah. I'm gonna punch a song up. We're gonna figure this out. How about now? Can't hear me. Can't make it up. So for whatever reason, it sounds like the callers can hear me, but you guys can't hear me. I can't hear you. That doesn't make any sense. All right, we're gonna reset this phone. I don't know what's going on here, but we'll get it done. We'll get it done, folks. It'll just take us a minute. Here, watch Freedom Tunes for a second.
There I was, innocently chatting with 8-year-olds about sex online, when out of nowhere, what's happening? No! Starbucks! I can always count on you. One latte, please.
You think we're gonna give coffee to a gay? So you can be gay even faster? I don't think so.
No!
I cast thee out, sodomite!
Somebody, please, help me. A brand hasn't told me I'm special in 4 minutes.
I don't personally endorse every sexual taste you have.
People have other things to do in life than pander to you.
No! Stop it! Stop it!
I'm not gonna let you show porn to my child!
No!
Yeah!
No! No! You turned me straight! I wasn't able to show porn to your child, and I'm straight now! No!
What do you think of that? There's your pride parade. Okay, it looks like it should be working. I just reset the phone. Sorry about all that, guys. We're back up. We should, or at least we should be. We'll find out in 1 second. Go ahead and give me a buzz. There's about 8 of you that have been like hammer calling the phone, so I appreciate everybody wants to get in on the action. Here we go. Round 11. Caller, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Unbelievable. Yeah, we just had to turn the phone off and back on. I hate I hate when Indian tech support actually is effective, but that was effective. So there you go.
There you go. There you go. Well, I was wondering.
I heard there's a Somali story in route, right? There's a Somali story. Is that?
There is.
Okay.
There is.
Mm-hmm.
I will get there. What I'm wondering is, when you're worth $2 million,
Yeah.
how far away from Golden Boy status are you?
What is Golden Boy status?
You know, like, I would consider, like, you know, well, Trump and Elon are way above that. I don't know what's above golden. Platinum, maybe?
Yeah, why
So
is
you're
it?
probably at you're probably at brass or copper.
Brass or copper if you're at $2 million, and then you can work your way up to like the silver status. Yeah, I only can compare it to like my
exactly.
Marriott. Yeah, my Marriott points levers. I don't think people necessarily know what. I guess I said it on the podcast the other day, but yeah, I found out that I was worth $2 million from a website that I've never heard of before. So that's exciting.
Me either. I was like, bio on Kyle. This guy be interesting.
That makes me doubt all the things though that I read when they're like estimating people's net worth. I'm like, shit, how far off are these things?
Right.
Usually they have a range. Now, listen, I think political figures, when they put them out there, it probably makes more sense because they have to make disclosures, but who knows what kind of research is being done. Yeah, we're not at the $2 million mark yet, but when we do, that'll be good. That'll be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Right. Yeah. So my first Somalian story.
Very good.
I'd call it Shotgun and the Somalian Man.
Excellent.
So we had this like little kids exercise style bike that you hooked to the TV, and it was like a video game. So the faster you pedaled it, like the one we had, the cartridge we had for it was like an IndyCar game.
Okay.
So the faster you pedal it, the faster the car would go. You turn the handlebars and the car would turn, right?
Okay.
Well, we didn't need it anymore. My kids didn't really play it. So my wife decided I'm going to go sell it on Marketplace, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she puts it on Marketplace. A guy comes and picks it up. He says, it doesn't work. It's all staticky or whatever. So she's like, bring it back. He brings it back, and I hook it to the TV. Sure enough, it's staticky. So I pull the cartridge out, do the old Tendo blow on it, stick it back in, it works, right?
Beautiful.
And I turn to her and I'm like, hasn't this guy grew up with a Nintendo or anything? She's like, he's Somalian. I'm like, oh, okay. So she reaches out back to him and says, yeah, it's working, and he says, keep it hooked up. I want to see that it actually works. So they set up a time. He comes over, he sees it's working, right? And he's like, okay, good. But he says, I want to have sex with you. And she's like, what? And he says, I want to have sex with you. And she's like, I'm married. No, thank you. He's like, I ain't leaving until you have sex with me.
Oh.
And she's like, oh, no. So she reaches above our fireplace mantle. I have a Colt 1883 double barrel shotgun. It was actually my grandpa's. But so I have that above there, right? So she grabs it down, and she shot it before and knows about it. So she grabs it down, cracks open the back as it loads from the back.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, good, it's loaded. Snaps it back shut. She's like, you are leaving my house now.
Nice.
Grab the thing and get out, right? So she pushes him out the door with the shotgun, and he leaves, and she calls me. She's like, you're not going to believe what's happened. He wanted to have sex with me. I'm like, what? Like, I was pissed on the phone.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I chased him out of that house with the shotgun. I'm glad you had that shotgun. I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I had that shotgun there too.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't have to use it, because I would have never got that stink out of my house.
That's right. Well done.
She would have blew him in half. If she would have fired that thing, she would have blew him in half.
Right. And if you had been in Texas, that would have been the first instinct. I think in Minnesota, you got to do that as a second or a third instinct. You don't want to lead with cut somebody in half in your house.
So then I'm like, what if I didn't have that there? She's like, well, your trap gun was in the corner. I'm like, my trap gun's not loaded. And it's single shot. Because my trap gun is a Steven 5.55 trap.
Yeah.
It's a single shot. I'm like, yeah, you probably, you would have had to load it quick. But yeah, it's there.
That is a eye-opener. Yeah, I hate people coming to my house anyway, but yeah. Would you think that was a ruse for him to get somebody into the house? What a weird...
I kind of think so. I'm like, no, it didn't completely... She'd been working... Well, prior to that, she worked at a school that when they moved locations, their Somalian population grew by 75%. So she was used to the Somalian population.
Yeah, but is that an acceptable way for people to interact in the Somalian community?
Not for me, but for them it is, because they're all polygamous. The men are.
I see.
They have a weird, so I don't know, in Minnesota we have a lot of Somalians. If you go to a graduation,
that's the most
in
illogical thing, by the way. Can we just agree that that's the most illogical place to take a bunch of freaking Somalis and put them in Minnesota, and why that has become a thing is beyond me.
Yeah, me too. But if you go to
can they go back now? By the way, can they go back now?
Well, I'd love them to.
Well, can't we send them back? Like, we don't need them here. They're not doing anything for us, and I'm pretty sure that whatever their crappy country situation is it's good. It's good now, or better.
So if you go to a graduation that has a Somalian kid in it, well, usually there's one in the class. There's usually 10, and they're all related. And usually it's, might be the same dad or, an uncle or whatever. But a dad, you'll never see a dad at a graduation, ever.
Okay. Perfect.
You'll never see a dad at a conference. You'll never see a dad at anything. They're like, I don't know if they exist. I don't think they exist in the kids' lives. But they'll have,
I'm just shaking my head. Yeah.
4 or 5 wives, and they'll have 5 or 6 kids per wife. It's insane.
Yeah, how do we stop that? I don't think we should have that as much.
And you don't know that they're related because they don't do last names.
Good. Yeah.
Like they just like their last name would be like our middle name kind of thing. Yeah, they might have it, but usually not. So you don't really know.
That's gross.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is gross.
I don't want that for this country. I did think it was funny that Bongino decided to go and say that 5% of the people in this country are involved in all the crime. And he was talking about illegal aliens, but I went like, ugh. But maybe he was talking about Somalis. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised. I mean, especially, so the town my wife taught in, and I grew up in like kind of suburb of it, which is St. Cloud. And St. Cloud is, well, Minnesota, it's the Somalian capital. You think Minneapolis has a lot? Go to St. Cloud.
That's crazy, though. All of that is crazy.
It's crazy.
When did this all start? Like mid 90s, early 90s?
So we didn't really. So my dad, he was an engineer at a high school, and he retired like right before the real rush came in, and that would have been like 2001, when they started pushing really heavy into the St. Cloud area, like super heavy, and starting to take the school systems over with their kids. But what makes it really hard. So my wife taught first grade at a school, at a charter school. And charter schools in Minnesota are kind of weird. So all the charter schools are in one district. They're in one district, and they all have to have a different concept, right? So you'll have one that will be, a certain STEM process. You'll have ones that their whole focus is they use sports in their education.
Got it. The other one's an art magnet or something like that. So everybody has kind of like a focal.
And they all have to be different, and they're all open enrollment, right?
Okay.
And typically, if one sibling goes there, the other siblings automatically get in. So they don't have to wait for the lottery.
Perfect.
Typically. So
this all sounds great. I can't see how any of this could go wrong.
So when they started the school, they were on the north side of St. Cloud, which is border Sauk Rapids. I went to school in Sauk Rapids, to a Catholic school and whatnot. And Sauk Rapids, Sartell, and North St. Cloud, middle class, where the school was next to was it was the rich neighborhood. That's where all the doctors, lawyers, all that stuff lived.
Okay.
So when the school was there, all her students were, I mean, they were very well off, right?
Okay.
And she loved it, absolutely loved it, right? Because, you know, a lot of times the moms, you know, they're not working. They're really into, you know, helping out with the classroom and involved in their kids' education, right?
Sure.
Because
Okay.
they should be.
Yeah.
Well, charter schools also cannot own their building. They have to lease it. And typically they have some partnership. You know, a lot of them will have a long-term lease and they'll just keep renewing it so they don't really move.
Okay.
Well, anyhow, their lease was up, right? And the founder of the school decided that they wanted to move because they wanted to expand. So they moved to South St. Cloud. The demographic of South St. Cloud, completely different.
Yeah.
That's where the Somalians live. So their enrollment just dramatically changed. You know, she went from, you know, being the majority to being the far minority by a long shot, right? She, you know, any of the doctors' kids that stayed in there wasn't many left, but over 75% of her class was Somalian. She taught first grade.
I don't know why that
And
frustrates me so much.
most of them-
maybe it's because I still think about, like, I've read Mike Durant's story, and I don't know. I just, like, what the hell did we import here with that garbage?
Right. So
Is there anybody
the
like
first-
is there a Somali person that is like in the United States that is like, yeah, like I came here, I'm psyched. I sound like Kyle Seraphin too. Like I just talk like this. I'm a regular dude. Like, does anyone do that? Or do they all do the Ilhan Omar, which I can't even fake her voice, but like she fakes that shit, no doubt in my mind. That is-
absolutely.
She plays up an
Well,
accent.
you know, what I find really odd about her, and I'd like to know more, but is she truly the only wife of her husband?
Oh,
Because that wouldn't be their culture at all. That'd be really, really odd. Like it's just there for display.
gross.
But anyhow, so the first part of the, you know, probably the whole year, she'd be teaching these kids how to read, speak English,
Yeah.
because none of them knew that. You know, they don't send their kids to kindergarten typically. It's first grade. Dump them in first grade, and she has to somehow communicate these kids while her other students are falling way behind because she can't spend time with them. And then culturally, they're completely different. They don't respect women. The men do not respect women. So she would have such a hard time with the male students first 4 months for sure. That, no, we don't have to listen to you. My dad says I don't have to listen to you.
Perfect.
And blah, 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 blah. Or what ended up pushing her over the edge is it got so bad that she'd be having weekly death threats. You know, I'm going to come blow you up in the name of Allah and all this stuff, right?
Oh, that's
I
my
mean,
Super Bowl.
That's what she's getting from first graders. Where do you think they're learning that from?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's a learned behavior.
But the other thing that's really odd is
You're increasing my prejudice right now. I don't appreciate that, Mr. Christopher.
I'm sorry.
It's pretty well seated that I don't like that people are not from my country and don't come into my country and understand that there's a predominant culture that irritates the living hell out of me. You know?
They think you should adapt your culture and your way of life to theirs.
Do you want to know how little I want to like?
Absolutely nuts.
I got to share you this. This is a different type of thing, but same idea. I am so non-amenable to people not adapting to my culture, and my culture equals like what regular people did for the last, I don't know, 150 years in this country, where people were polite to those who were older than them, and they spoke like, excuse me, like, can I get your attention, and then ask something of you in a nice way, like when they're working. I went to the pool yesterday, which is walking distance from my house, and it's in our HOA. So it's part of like that's part of the deal. We're renting the house, but theoretically, like, we're the occupant of the home, right? And so I got a key fob, which lets me into an outer gate. And then there's an inner gate, which has a key fob. And then I walk in and I can go to the pool. And obviously I live right on the same street as it. So it's a bigger neighborhood, but that's our freaking pool. So I go down there with my little guy, and I was already in a shit mood because I stepped on the grass and I didn't wear any shoes. I just walked over there barefoot with like no shirt, no shoes, just the swimsuit. You know, it's literally 3 houses away from where I am. And I think I stepped on a scorpion, or there was a hornet in the grass, and it got me. And I was already kind of hot from that, because that doesn't feel very good. It felt like something was biting my foot, even though I couldn't see what the heck it was. So that sucked. And then I got my little guy, and he needs to pee. So I take him into the bathroom, the communal bathroom. I go in through the first gate, the outer gate. We go into the bathroom. He takes a pee. We come back out, and I'm walking to the second gate, which is where the pool gate is, to go beep in and take him swimming. Right? Real simple. And I hear something behind me. And so I turn, and it's kind of loud because it's a pool, you know, so there's like lots of outdoor ambient noise and whatnot. And I hear it again. And it's just like, and I see this kid, and I don't know if he's like 15 or 19. I can't tell the difference between, you know, like early high school and early college anymore. I just can't tell. But he's like a juvenile in my eyes. Like, he's not an adult. And he goes, "Did you sign in?" And I go, "What?" Because now I'm pissed. My foot hurts. My kid is, you know, he's being goofy because he's 4. And I'm there's somebody interrupting like my thing, and he's got headphones on. He's got the same size headphones that I'm wearing right now, like enormous Beats by Dre looking things, which he hasn't taken off to speak to me. I really hate that. And he starts mumbling at me about something about signing in. Well, we've been going to this pool for like a month and change because we moved here, and pool opened up in May, and we go to the pool probably 20 times so far. There's no sign in. And this kid has got a table set up, like a card table with a notebook, and he points at it. I go, "Who are you?" Because, like, first of all, you're mumbling at me, and I don't like rude people. And that was really rude. It was just like, it wasn't like, "Excuse me, sir, like, can we get you to sign in?" We just started signing in. Something, you know, like a normal person would say. And he just goes, I go, "Hey, man, who are you?" And he was like, "I'm the guy that works here." I was like, "Who do you work for?" And he doesn't answer me. He goes to his phone, and I'm like, "What are we doing here?" And he pulls up his phone, and he holds up a guy's phone number and his name. And it's like Chris Murphin or something. I go, "What is that?" And he's like, "That's who I work for." I was like, "I don't know what that means, dude. Like, it doesn't mean anything to me. Who are you, and why are you here, and why are you asking me for something?" So I'm looking at his notebook, and then he was like, "You have to sign in." And that's when I just walked off, like, and I was really pissed. And I was kind of waiting. I was like, I need to have a physical confrontation right now. I have enough rage. I need to straighten this dude out. I need to straighten this teenager out so that he never acts like that in front of a man again, like a grown man. Because how are these kids like this? I mean, forget, like, he's not Somali. He doesn't have the excuse of, like, I was raised in a different culture. He's from America, and he still is equally useless. So I don't know. We have lost the predominant culture, even from people that are what I would say is normal. Like, you don't see it at restaurants.
Yeah.
You don't see it by whatever this retard kid, whatever his deal was, standing there asking people to sign in at the pool. Like, the sense of entitlement in people is crazy. I could never fathom that. I worked at pools when I was a kid. Like, if you work at a pool, like, your job is taking care of parents who have kids. That's the business of pools. Anyway.
Right.
All right.
So the other odd thing is, so she'd have to work recess duty for their grade, right? So their class would go out or whatnot, right?
I feel like I'm going to hate this more too.
And she would see these. Well, this is probably down the line of Tracy, but anyhow, she'd see these little Samoan girls. They're digging holes.
Oh, good.
In the dirt, right?
Yeah.
Right. And all of a sudden they would squat, right? And then they would stand up and kick the dirt back over, and they would go on playing. She's like, "What the heck are they doing?"
Oh my God.
It took her a couple days, and she's like, "They're peeing outside."
And these aren't kids that were raised in Somalia. Like, they're raised here.
Yes.
That's the trouble.
Well, apparently it's super common for their culture to do that. She said that's what they do. Like, a lot of them feel that the bathrooms we have here are dirty. They don't want to sit on a toilet. That's what they do. So she has to teach them, like, no, you need to go sit on a toilet if you need to go potty as a little girl.
Jeez. So,
but the best thing that ever happened.
How do we turn this off?
It was a godsend. You know, the Catholic school she works at now posted, and she was accepted, and it made her so happy because she could finally celebrate Christmas. She could have a cross in her room, and she could talk about God.
Oh, yeah, that's really liberating.
She's completely different. She would come home every day stressed to the point where she would be crying sometimes, and now she loves her job. Absolutely loves it. Because she can...
That's good. That makes me feel slightly better. I mean, I just had a long conversation with Shamgar Connor, who's going to be on not this coming up Sunday, but the next one. And we were talking about, he used to be a school teacher, and he's been going to school board meetings and trying to straighten things out in Virginia. And it's not Somalis. It is the predominant culture of Washington, D.C., which is like absolutely insane woke retards. You know, it's insane what goes on.
Right.
And he was telling me all the stuff that goes on there, and you know, it's blatantly racist based on everything that I've ever been raised to believe what racist is, and it's, you know, it's abusive to kids, and it's crazy. It's crazy that that's where we are putting our children that people are putting their kids there for 8 hours a day. You know?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I cannot fathom getting my kids out of my eyesight at this point, because how many wackos are out there that are doing this stuff? Like, I'm sure they have some Somali teachers,
Absolutely.
right? They must.
I don't know. I don't know. But
I bet you they'll hire them if they ask.
Yeah. I used to go to city council meetings. They don't really like me, so.
Good. Well, that means you're probably doing it right.
Well, so the mayor, our houses our back properties touch, right? And we used to get along really well. I mean, he calls himself a conservative, but I think his record as the mayor says otherwise.
Sure.
So we disagree on that. And after he assessed me $30,000, I kind of gave up. So, well, I better get going. So
yeah, it sounds like you got a train to catch. What's going on out there?
Yeah, I live by a train, so I'll let you go.
All right, my friend. Thanks for calling in and sharing that. Now I'm properly enraged to continue the rest of this.
All right, thank you.
All right, bud. Have a nice night.
You too, bye.
All right, well, we worked out the tax issues. We got that story about Somalians. That doesn't make me feel any better about the people that are out here in this country. That don't make me happy at all. Phone line is open. You guys, it's the 405 number that I threw over into the... Where did I put it? We put it over in our locals chat. So you've got that. I got another caller jumping on the line right now. And caller number 2. Who's on the line?
Oh, hey, what's up there, Kyle? It's Renzo.
Oh, I knew it was Renzo. Right when I heard the pause, I had a sense. How you doing, buddy?
What's going on? Pretty good. I mean, I could be better, but you know, things are good. You know, everybody's healthy, so it's always good.
Nothing to complain about. You got any phones that don't work or internet connections that want to stop you from doing your job? What do you got going on in your world?
No, actually, the only thing that's been slowing me down the last few hours is my dog.
Your dog?
But that's because, my dog. He's yelling at the dog next door. But I've been making a joke of it, and I keep thinking that they're doing the Tony bit.
They are doing the Tony bit. I think that's what dogs do all day long. They just ask each other what each other's names are and then make fun of each other. It's just idle threats.
Yeah, it's no different than humans.
Yeah, we're all butt sniffers, aren't we? At the end of the day.
Yeah. So I just wanted to call to say that Dan Bongino sucks.
Isn't that disappointing?
And B,
hold on, let's just belabor that for a minute. It's really disappointing.
Dan Bongino is my new Tom Massey. The guy who says a bunch of crap and then it's not effective.
You're trying to get me off your team. I see what you're doing here. That's no good. I like Tom Massey. Tom Massey is infinitely smarter than Bongino. Infinitely smarter. He was on Junkyard Wars.
Look, don't get me wrong. Like, I like Tom Massey. I know that it sounds like it's like you don't like him, but what I don't like is people who say a bunch of stuff and then can't be effective can't figure out a way to make. So, like, I feel like everything that's wrong with our society now is because nobody respects process. There's a certain process to things.
Okay.
You want to be an immigrant to the United States? This is the process. I don't care about the process. I'm just going to walk up the border. And,
I'm tracking.
And then the judges reaffirm this. And, then the judges reaffirm this by saying, hey, we want to look into the fact whether you guys did the process of kicking them out the right way.
Even though they ignored the original process. Yeah.
This also applies to, every single issue they're talking about. The process is, if you have a penis, you go in the men's room. If you don't, you go in the women's room.
What if you're at a pride parade? If you're at a pride parade, can you swing your penis around? Is that allowed?
Well,
I think the mayor of Toronto just said that in the parody skit. You control your penis around.
Well,
yes, I'm tracking with you, though. Yeah, this is kindergarten cop rules, right? This is Ivan Reichman going back 30 years. Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. That's it. Real simple.
I'm just taking us back to 4000 BC.
Yeah, you're such a regressive, Renzo. People get very mad about this. Just because it worked for thousands of years doesn't mean that we should be shouldn't be changing things. Like, what about the internet? Didn't the internet make it? It's just, what are these people about? I hate people coming up with problems. I do agree with you. I don't like people suggesting that there's a problem without bringing a solution to the table. I don't like that at all. It's easy to sharpshoot problems. But if you don't have like a suggestion of what a solution looks like, my boss used to do this with me when I was in the bureau. I'm working for my surveillance team. We had all these like really irritating issues because there was a lot of years of laziness in our squad that had built up a lot of bad habits and had bad paperwork, bad process, et cetera, et cetera. And so I would bring it to my boss and I'd be like, hey man, this process sucks. Like, we have a really bad process for this. And he goes, oh, okay. Then what? And I was like, all right, I got 3 solutions for you. I'm going to tell you what they are, and then I'm going to weigh in on why I think the one that, that I want to do is the right one, but I want to at least give you some options. So option number 1, we do this. Option number 2, we do this. Option number 3, we do this. I think 3 is the best answer because it overcomes the problems of this, this, and this. And he was like, yeah, go do number 3. He was like, I love that you gave me options. And like, he's like, all those options sounded plausible. And I agree that those head off the problems that I was thinking about. Thank you. It's like, yeah. He was like, you're both the best and the worst kind of employee to have. I go, why is that? And he was like, because you're always seeing all the problems, but thankfully you're always seeing the solutions. And that just means I have to make the decision. I'm like, it's your decision to make. You're the boss. That's the job. But I'm not going to just bring it to you and go like, hey boss, our job sucks. Like, that's useless. Who cares?
That's what everybody does now.
I know everybody's a critic. Nobody's a problem solver.
And it's because they don't want to solve the problem.
That's right.
Because if they solve the problem, then they can't complain about this anymore because the problem's been solved.
Oh,
See,
man. I hate
cycle.
complaining. I just want to solve problems. I want to solve all the problems.
Exactly. So now this leads me into the whole Elon Trump fiasco of the evening.
Okay. Now, can we agree that it's 5D chess? Are they working together? Was that?
I early in the evening, I didn't think that. As the evening has gone on, I'm like, hey, it's kind of weird that now Eric Swalwell's like, release the Epstein files. We need to see them. So now there is unanimous support to do this.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because maybe, in my opinion, I think the person holding up the release of this is Pam Bondi.
Why?
And I think she's doing it because I think Now I'm going to give you what my logical reasoning is.
Good.
Now, I think she's doing this because if you look at the original case that Epstein had where Alex Azar just kind of was like, okay, you can do some probation, even though, we know this whole operation is going on. I think a lot of the people that were involved with that operation are Florida people that are connected to Pam Bondi.
Okay.
And that's why when she got in, she was like, I'm going to release the Epstein files. And then she saw all the names and she was like, wait a second, we can't release this video. This guy, I ate dinner with him last week.
You don't want to be eating dinner with pedophiles. People don't want to hear about that.
Exactly. And once they see the name, they will then say, hey, let's look at this guy. Who's this guy affiliations with? Oh, look, he's been donated to Pam Bondi when she ran for Attorney General of Florida or this and that.
Yeah.
I think that what a lot of people, what the whole Bongino and Cash with the Epstein thing signaled to me was a lot of our people involved in this, and we don't want the snapshot or soundbite of, hey, this guy, is a good friend of this person. This guy ate dinner with this person. These people are now associated with this person. They did business with this person. There was money exchange between these people. So once they got in and they actually saw all the information they had, they were like, oh, man, they got a lot of stuff on us. So we got to go redact a bunch of this, and it's going to take some time. Give us 6 to 8 months. Trust me, bro. It's don't worry.
All right. Do you think we're going to make any money?
That's just my own.
Yeah, it's
my own opinion.
It's plausible as anything else out there. Renzo, you think that we're going to be able to make any money on my consulting firm, the Trust Me and Bro?
Trust Me Bro is going to make a lot of money.
Okay.
Because Trust Me Bro is everywhere.
Yeah,
it's everywhere.
They keep doing it, don't they? Man.
Oh yeah, well that's their gig. Because once you get there, you're like, I want to go to the cocktail party. I want to go hang out with these people. And
that's why we need people that don't want to do any of that. When I heard people crying, when I heard Bongino go on and crying about we get there at 7 a.m, it's like, dude, shit. I used to start my day at 4. What are you talking about? I would get called out sometimes at 2 or 3 a.m. My boss would call me at midnight and tell me to be on standby for a couple hours. It wasn't all the time, but it happens. That's called law enforcement. It's an irregular job. You're stepping into something, and you don't get to cry about it. Ever.
Yeah.
How about rule number 1? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. They don't care. That's the job. You signed up for it. Did you not know what you were signing up for? They told you what the work was. You get to show up. You're the only person in the entire FBI in the Hoover building that has a private bathroom in your office. You don't have to walk down the hallway. Piss off, dude. Cry somebody else a river. And I still think he's going to go and run for office afterwards. I think he's going to flirt with the podcast for a little bit and do it while he runs for office. And now a lot of people keep posting that from listening to him for years. But
I don't think he's even going to go back to the podcast. I think he's just going to run for office afterwards.
Well, that's a real possibility.
That way.
Well, it's interesting. I talk to advertising people, because that's the world I'm in right now. And I think people have been expecting him to step back in, but it all depends on how it goes. Cause he could easily burn out his welcome there. And, I did hear, whether this is true or not, but I've heard it from a source that pays attention that Vince was picked. I like Vince Colonnese. I'm sad that he's over there because he's had to be such a homer for this nonsense.
Yeah.
But I like Vince. I've talked to Vince a bunch of times. I've been on his program and I was interviewed with him a lot. And I always thought he was a decent guy. And I think he's a good radio broadcaster. And I think he's really fair. He's his thumbnails are terrible. I keep seeing these pictures of him putting his arms up, and he's got these tiny little arms, and so he's not a visual present. That's just not a good look. But somebody told me that they chose Vince because they thought he would be kind of a weaker. He wouldn't usurp the Bongino throne, and so he wasn't a threat to Dan, and that's why he was chosen. And if that's the case, that's awful. Do you know what a pansy you are if you pick somebody to like fill in your seat and you pick someone that you think is inferior to you so that you don't have to go back and challenge them later for audience? That is so lame.
That's the New Yorker.
I mean, you know what? That is such an insecure pussy move if that's what happened. So I don't know if I don't have any confirmation of it, but when someone said it to me, I went like, dude, I hope that's not true. Because I do like Vince. I think Vince is a nice man. And I think he's sharp. So I haven't listened to his program at all.
I tried to listen to him. He kind of bored me, and like 20 minutes in, I was like, okay, that's enough, Vince. You're good. I could listen to you like for 10 minutes, and that's good for me. That's how I judge, though, whether I'll listen to a podcast or not.
But here's the thing. Podcasts are not the same as being on the radio. It's a different skill set. It's similar. It's related. It has some technology in common, but radio is a rigid format where you're cutting in and you're cutting out and you have hard segments and you're in and you're out, and a podcast is a lot more personal. It's like you're whispering in people's ears, or you're just, it's a conversation that you have to know what the other person's doing. Radio is just slightly different.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
I used to watch Bongino's podcast every day, but I tried listening to the radio or watching the radio online, and I was like, I can't do this. This is why I stopped listening to talk radio, because I can't stand like commercials every 5 seconds. It's the same commercial, and then you got to do a line, and then then you talk for 2 seconds, and then you're like, okay, now I got to do another commercial, and then it's just annoying.
It's a thing. I grew up listening to radio. I have, it feels very comfortable and familiar listening to radio. But actually, I never shared anybody. But Dan reached out to me at one point in time when we were not doing whatever the hell we're doing now, and he asked me if I would be interested in guest hosting his radio show. He's like, "Would you guest host the radio show?" And that scared the shit out of me. And I was like, I don't think I'm able. I was maybe 200 deep in the podcast, and so I had Look, and like today, I would still be nervous about guest hosting somebody's radio show, but I think I could do it because I do what I do here every day. But at that point, I was like, I don't think I have it. My father was telling me, he's like, you should reach out to the people in like Salem and some of the other places, and you should go ahead and ask them and tell them you want to be on the radio. And it's like, I don't think I'm ready. Like, it's a skill, and it's different than the skill that I've honed. It's similar, but I would want to go practice in small scale, and I would want to probably be like a second, like a number 2 on somebody's program for a little while and just see what it is. So anyway, I don't know. I have a lot of like.
I would say to you, just from my, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay.
Just from my own opinion, you're like 100 times better than like 2 years ago.
I feel way more comfortable doing this. You know what I mean? I mean, and I've walked back, and it's like, yeah, some of the old stuff was interesting, but it is a skill. I mean, this is not something you just sit down and naturally can go do. Like, if you can do that, you had a different background than I did. This is not what I spent my time or life training for. It's just not. So.
I didn't spend my life, training to be a bankruptcy person, but that's what I've been doing for 20 years. So that's my life. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a believer that God has a path for everybody, and there's a reason for the path. And, I would just have to say, your shows are like so much better, so much better in a way, but in a way I kind of miss like the old shows. Like I find like tonight, like, the technical bit, I find that to be real. That's what I'm looking for. I like, cause when I watch stuff on the internet and stuff like that, it's just all fake. I already come from it from the perspective of, what filter do they use? What's been green screened? What's the?
You know what? There's some. So this is actually a discussion I had with the folks at Catholic Vote at one point in time, and it was never public because it didn't need to be. But I mentioned, I was like, look, if I go and I'm used to I had Ryan helping me and producing things for a little while, and that was always kind of like a little clunky because we didn't have. I don't know if he was paying attention the same way that I do, but I like to move fast, man. Like I want to punch things up and make it happen. I want to just get going. And so when we were having the conversation about, do we, how do we set this up? And should I be calling up my own clips and blah, 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 blah. And they were like, I think people want to see real. They don't want to see like ultra polished. They don't want to see Fox News where it's being acted and presented to them. People want to know that there's a real person there and there's some value to knowing that it's like one guy. And I'm looking at myself on the screen right now. I'll throw it back up on the screen for people. Like it's one guy at a desk with some technology who put time into presenting something. But what you're hearing is just coming at you live. It's like whatever happens, happens. And when things break, when things get weird or the phone doesn't work, then the phone doesn't work. I don't know. Like, or somebody calls in and my guest disappears because their internet drops. It's like, okay, there it goes. So be it. So we were discussing the value of authenticity when I was talking to the folks at Catholic Vote about it. And that's what they wanted. And I was like, cool, yeah. And then we were going to put together a team and then that failed immediately. So maybe that's God's plan, is saying like, nah, dude, stick with what you got. Like perfect the skill.
Yeah. Everything happens for a reason. That's true. That's what I believe.
Yeah. It may be challenging for us when it happens though. There's nothing to say that it won't challenge the hell out of you when you're doing it.
Oh yes. But see, I don't know. I'm the type of person that I relish a challenge, whereas some people see that as an obstacle.
Yes.
I find that mindset, and I have this problem with my daughter all the time. I'm like, you need to look at things like this as a challenge as opposed to, oh, this is like a job or an obstacle or something like that. You're doomed to fail if you just look at these things as obstacles. Which, like this is the thing that, which is funny because I find that apparently like our whole like society now has been reduced to high school level. Our president is arguing with
oh yeah, it's toddler level, isn't it? We're just dealing with thin skins and egos, and it's not. But
in reality, this is the problem with that. That's great in high school because it affects like 10 kids or whatever, this or that.
It also teaches you like what your limit is for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, this affects like our whole country, the world.
Yeah, the whole world. Could be a problem. Is what you're saying.
I'm like, this is the conundrum that I'm finding myself in with like everything is. I agree with Elon on principle. He's right. This bill sucks. But I would say this. I look at this as, because of the way the process is, to go back to when we were talking about process, this is the best you're going to get with how the process is, because the way the spending was all set up during COVID was that $3 trillion extra of spending that we can't get rid of to go back to that 4-point-something range of this is a balanced budget or a sort of balanced, depending on Washington calculations and stuff like that, that people who say this bill sucks, like Elon, and we shouldn't pass it. I'm like, this works well for, hey, John Thune, you guys all in the Senate, cut more stuff. We need to cut more stuff because Elon said this sucks.
Right.
At the same time, Elon then goes out and says, Trump's in the Epstein files. And I'm like, yeah.
He's got cooties and he likes Mary Beth. Nah.
Exactly.
It's so dumb. It's all so dumb, man. I agree. I hate it. That was my joke. So my joke was, I put a tweet out today and I was like, you guys need to start thinking, like, obviously Trump and Elon are playing 5D chess. If you can't keep up, now they're going to make the Democrats holler and try to get the Epstein files. And when they do, then we win. everything is exposed. I was like, trust the plan. And so people started responding to it, and they were like, I thought so, man. Like, and then my next tweet was like on top of that, and I quoted myself, and I was like, that was my best tweet that I've ever done in my whole life. Some of you know what I mean. I said, some of you think you know what I mean, and some of you think you know what I meant. And none of you know that I just think it's retarded. I think it's freaking retarded. That's the whole thing. The tweet is, it's all gay and fake. It's like, if you're on a team with that stupid, like, it's all stupid. We all lost.
It's so true.
It's just the dumbest time. On a different day, I would have said this is the dumbest timeline to be living on. But today, I'm just going unbelievable. I'm just gonna have fun. If I could make every single post I did on social media something that makes some people think I'm being sarcastic and other people agree with out of hand, like I need to be smarter. If I could do that every day, that would be my favorite way to run my account. I would just say sarcastic stuff that some people agree with and some people know is fake, but in reality, it's all fake. Because I don't actually care. That would be the best social media possibility I could have.
The X algorithm would pump you up.
It would, because it would be too fun. I would have so many people. They'd be like, I agree. And people would be like, he's being sarcastic, but I would never confirm it, ever. I would never let people know.
And that's the thing now, tricking the algorithm. That's what everybody's goal is.
How dumb is that, too? I don't want to trick the algorithm. I just want to talk to regular people and be a regular person.
Yes. So it's weird that you say that, because I was just watching the Netflix thing on Brett Favre. and the amount of, and so a lot of the stuff I guess they were talking about was with the scandals and stuff was like in the 2009. And like, it was really funny to me that like two people in the thing mentioned, they were like, that was before, the algorithm controlled, like how, who gets seen and who doesn't. That was like the real people who liked you.
That was the real internet. That was the realest of things. Ugh. Yuck. It's like,
I'm like,
you know what's
you were
sad?
born in the 90s.
Yeah, not only was it the real thing, but it was still retarded. It was all retarded forever.
It was all retarded.
It always was.
But I always knew that eventually, and this was, like I'll get off that. I don't want to hug up.
You got named the mascot of the show, Renzo. So you got that going for you. Go ahead.
All right, go. But, I always said to my wife, and I said this maybe like 20 years ago to her, because I was like, I'll never join social media. I'll never be on the Twitter thing or whatever it is, or this or that, or MySpace. I guess it was MySpace at that time.
MySpace was great.
I was like, I'll never be on that stuff. I'm like, MySpace. Pre-Facebook. It's like ancient times. So like, I was like, I'll never do that. These are all just fake people being fake to other people, trying to be fake, trying to make the internet into the real world.
Right.
Here we are.
I'm gonna blow your mind. My buddy and I used to make. We had MySpace profiles, and my friend would he would try to be like characters from literature. Like he'd try to be like a character out of like a Rudyard Kipling story. and so he would say we would like write these compliments to each other and post them on each other's walls, and they'd be absolutely absurd. He'd be like, my boy, it's so good to see you here. We must have another hunt like we did 4 summers ago. We sent those men into the hippopotamus-ridden waters to get our waterfowl. What a jolly chuckle we had as we smoked a cigar. Like that kind of crap. He would write stuff like that all the time, and they were really silly. And then he had another profile he set up where it was an 80s nerd. Sorry, not an 80s nerd, an 80s meathead jock. And it was like, he would write really mean stuff and take pictures of a car that he had a bunch of pictures of, like a Ford Mustang that wasn't his. And so he would just make posts. You'd be like, Today I polished up my car. I hate it when nerds try and touch it. Don't touch my car, nerd. You know, like he would just leave stuff like that. And he would write to girls and say stuff to him, and they'd write back. And he was like, I'm so sick of nerds trying to touch my car whenever I park. And they'd be like, they shouldn't be touching your car, because he had a meathead picture of himself when he was like working out. And he was all like, you know, pumped up and muscly and stuff. And they'd be like, yeah, those nerds shouldn't touch your car. It's like, this is the stupidest thing. We just found out how stupid it was early on. So I never had any credibility in social media. Never. I could never take it seriously. And I still don't. I still don't take it seriously.
You know what's weird is 20 years ago, nobody paid attention to that stuff until they were like, but then it turned out this 40-year-old guy was a pervert, and he wasn't actually a 16-year-old boy, and he tried to meet this girl who was 15 years old at a place.
That's right.
And everybody started catching them on video. And then all of a sudden, people were like, you know, that's kind of a problem.
They're like, you know, maybe the people that were like, maybe people who are hiding behind a screen name are not really the person that they pretend to be. It's like nobody called it catfishing. We didn't have a name for it. We were just like, that guy's a liar. He's a creep. He's pretending online.
He's a creep.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that guy. That's Joe Biden. That was Joe Biden and Hunter.
That's Joe Biden.
That's
exactly them. That's the culture that they grew up in.
Oh.
And see, this is what I'm saying. I'm like, so in my belief, like, this experiment is good for another 15 years at the rate that we're going right now.
Okay.
And in another 15 years, we're going to be at a crossroads.
Bro, by the time that the AI bots are all learned up on all of our stupid behavior and all the weird, like, shady sexual shit that people are involved in, like, I think it's not going to be a good scenario. There's going to be dudes out there falling in love with robots. Like, that's what's happening probably today already. 15 years from now, it's going to be terminal. It'll be absolutely terminal.
Oh, yeah.
Where will I be?
The CNN guys that are doing it, right?
I think the CNN. I think Tubin was just jerking off because he was bored at a meeting. Can you imagine that? Like, I don't think I've ever been so bored in a meeting where I was like, you know what? You know what would make this meeting work? Me working on my Tubin. What an idiot. How is that guy back and showing his face in public? Renzo, if you did that at any place you've ever worked, you would never show your face in public again.
I wouldn't be able to get a job anywhere.
These people are shameless, though.
Look, I saw the YouTube video. He was totally doing something dirty on the Zoom video.
On the Zoom video, he got bored in the middle of a meeting and pulled out his junk, and he got another job in the media again.
And he does have it.
These people have zero shame.
People call him on for commentary.
Listen, he's already like a fat-looking doofus, so like I guess it doesn't matter. And he just has no shame to begin with. But damn, that is impressive. That is an impressive feeling to just know that like whatever you do doesn't matter. It don't matter. It's like, hey, what was the worst thing you ever did at work? And you're like, oh, I pulled my dick out on camera in front of a bunch of people. And they were like, oh, okay. Was it on purpose? You're like, no, it was an accident. And then I just quit for a little while, and then I got a job again in the same company. What planet are we living on? I want off this ride. I don't want to live in this. I just don't.
Process. This is another process issue.
Yeah.
No. You've been found to be
retarded,
not satisfactory at work.
Yeah, you've been adjudicated to be. You've been adjudicated to be a dick-grabbing failure. What is wrong with you? You're done. Come on, dude. Go. You have to go do a job somewhere where nobody ever sees your face again in public. Jeffrey Tubin. And you know what? He didn't even have the self-respect to like go and like lose like 75 pounds and like dye his hair. Nope, he just showed up looking like the same fat loser that grabbed his junk like a couple of days ago. He's like, well, I'm back. I did my penance. I went to the penalty corner.
I can't understand.
Yeah.
I can't understand that. Even like change your look a little bit. Like I don't look like the same guy who was jerking off in front of you. You know, like come on.
Yeah, in the 80s, you would have gotten jacked and changed your name and come on back and been like, I don't even know who you're talking about. Like I'm a different dude. Like Jeffrey Toobin? No, like I'm Marcus Toobin. Like we're not even the same guy. I never even heard of that. What happened with that Toobin guy? That sounds terrible. Like
that's when I knew we were in the death spiral. I'm like, they don't even try to hide anymore.
Yes.
It's not even like they try to be like, oh, yeah, we realized we made a mistake. No. Like, the only person that's been doing that is Andrew Cuomo. He's the only one. He's like, wow, we were really retarded. And these people
Andrew Cuomo and Chris Cuomo has been really good. Chris Cuomo has been like pretty hot on rebranding himself. He got pretty smart.
Exactly. He went to News Nation, the so-called...
yeah, he's still a fake.
Propaganda news.
Yeah, but I mean,
they're all still fake.
He's unburdened by what has been, though. That guy is pretending like the things that had already happened did not happen. So that's pretty impressive. I love it.
I mean, the same with Cuomo. He's like, I'll run for mayor. Yeah, that whole sex scandal thing, no big deal. That was
yeah, you don't remember. You don't even remember that. That was like some. What is the? It's a Tom Segura clip. I bet you I have it. You know what? Here, stand by. I'm gonna get it. And if you want, you can pop off and listen to it in a second. I'll play this Tom Segura clip, which I think I have. If I do, it's my favorite. He talks about the first 48. You ever seen that comedy bit that he does with the first 48?
Yes, I've seen this.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's really good. It's one of my favorite little bits. Let's see if I got it in here. What do you think? I got thank you North Face, I Am Legend trailer. I got some weird stuff in here, man. Let me just be real. I got James O'Keefe calling himself a FAGGOT. That's weird. All right, it's not in there. I wonder if it's in one of my ripped video spots. I have a couple of places I keep some clips that are kind of funny. But how about best ripped videos? It could be in there. What do you think? Yeah. It's a good video.
That sounds like a good folder.
Yeah, best ripped videos. I got some fun stuff in there. Here, hold on. I'll show you one that I've got in here. Just like random. There's like random little clips that I've ripped out of stuff like this.
You need to stop around with my friend, okay? Because you're giving him hope and it's driving the man crazy.
I moved. I changed my email address, my phone number. Okay, he's practically stalking me.
Well, I didn't know all that, so I'm sorry.
That's Seth Rogen when he wasn't lame and doing politics stuff. Pretty funny.
That was the Prego movie.
No, that
right?
was 40-Year-Old Virgin actually.
Oh,
right. Yeah, I must have deleted the Tom Segura clip, which is a real shame because it was a good video, and maybe it's sitting somewhere else. But like I thought I had it, and now I don't know where it is. So well.
I will find it for you tomorrow.
The thing is, by tomorrow I'll have it too.
I won't find it tonight, but tomorrow.
Anyway, the thing he says is he's like talking about cops and how they don't pursue cases after a certain amount of time, and he's just like he's like the deal is after 48 hours, they just don't try to solve the murder anymore. And the guy's like, what do you want to do today? He's like, how about you solve that murder? He's like, nah, man, that's some old shit. that was on Monday. Today's Wednesday. And that's how these people think about these scandals. They think about the scandal is like, hey, weren't you the dude that was beaten off on the Zoom call? And they're like, bro, that was like last year. And you're like, yeah, but I'm more than a year old. I remember that. And they're like, no, you don't. I'm going to just go on TV again.
You're watching me now. You may be thinking it, but you're not.
It's so goofy, dude. It's just so bad. Such a dumb time. All right.
That's when I realized we hit the idiocracy.
We're just screwed on that, aren't we? All right, I'm giving you final thought. What do you got? Let's give a final thought on this, and then I'm going to end up finding that clip. You watch. I'll find it right now.
Yeah. Okay. Final thought. So I'm going to wait and see mode on the Trump Elon thing to see what happens in the next couple of days.
Okay.
Because if in the next couple of days Elon's like, yeah, this, the bill sucks, and that's it. I probably shouldn't, said all this other stuff, or Trump reciprocates or Likewise.
Yeah.
So you know this was all just set up.
Okay.
If it goes on beyond that, then Republicans are going to lose the midterms to Democrats with 16% approval rate.
It just all goes in the tank. That's the end of it.
That's the end of it.
Okay. Okay.
That's my final thought.
I think it's a great final thought.
Thank you very much for taking my call.
You're the man.
And keep up the good work, man.
Okay. Just while we were talking about it, just so you know, apparently people were in our chat were able to see your phone number in the high definition feed, and some of them have threatened to send you sexually explicit pictures of themselves, but it was only dudes. So you got that going for you.
Hopefully not Brett Favre.
Hopefully not Brett Favre. Yeah. Or Jeffrey Tubin. Hopefully they at least won't be fat. All right. Okay. All right, Renzo. Thanks for calling, bud.
All right, take it easy, man.
All right,
have a good one.
See ya. Okay. It's so funny. All right, y'all. You're up next, whoever it is. So Renzo gets unlimited time because he just laughs at my jokes, and that makes it work. That works really well for me. Let's see here. I got all kinds of goofy clips. I have this whole thing full of the best clips that I have grabbed before for God knows what reasons. There were things that I did when I thought I was going to need it, and so I downloaded it, and I've got some really funny ones on here. I got caller number. Are we only on caller number 3 right now? I think we're at caller number 3. You're on the line.
What's up, dude?
Who am I talking to?
The Tech Penis.
Mr. Penis. To penis. To penis. Yeah.
It's funny you said, like, hopefully at least they're not fat.
If somebody's sending, listen, if someone's sending you dick pics, you don't.
Okay, otherwise.
Yeah, it'd be better. Isn't there degrees of, like, things you don't want? Couldn't we agree on that?
Well, I guess, but I mean, it's like, do you want a little bit of AIDS or, a whole lot of AIDS? I mean, it's just horrible anyway.
Yeah, no, I want a little bit. If I have a choice between, I don't want it, but it's like a little bit is better. So this is something that will relate to you. My first night at the Medina Training Annex in 2009, after I got out of basic training, right? I got a room from a guy who was like kind of a grown man as far as I could tell, and he was a SEER trainee, which they were always kind of like a weird group, right? And so I inherited a room from a guy, and I didn't know how long he'd been in the program, and I didn't realize the SEER guys went through their basic like little they went through their selection and they went right off to Washington State. So I have no idea how long this guy was in this room, but it was a filthy ass room, which I realized after the fact. But I got in, you're just out of basic. They give you all your crap. They send you on the bus. You roll across the way. You end up at the Medina Annex. You walk in there. You get told what's going on. It's kind of overwhelming. There's a CQ and all the other. It's totally different from basic. And you've just been institutionalized for the last 2 months. So they give me this room. I go check in, and I'm in the 342nd. And I think I had a second floor room. And I was absolutely smoked, and it was Texas summer, so it was hot and crappy. So I just passed out, and I just throw my stuff down, put together my bed, laid down, woke up in the morning, and my left eye was swollen shut completely. I couldn't see out of it. I didn't know. And I go walking outside, and I'm like, I'm in my uniform, and I got one eye that is like one side of my face is completely swollen shut, and it's really not good. And I go, and I'm surrounded by a bunch of cones, right? I'm surrounded by a bunch of like TAC-P trainees and PJ trainees and CCT guys and SEER dudes and EOD weirdos, and I'm standing there with these complete strangers who I know like 2 guys that were in my basic training flight, and like complete strangers, and they're like, hey, whoa, dude. What's wrong with your eye? And I was like, I don't know. I feel like it's swollen shut. And this other guy goes, what room are you in? And I was like, I'm in like 248 or whatever. And he was like, oh, damn, dude. I think you got a pillow full of AIDS. I will never forget that. I'm 27 years old, and it was the first time in my life I've ever heard someone suggest that maybe the affliction I have was caused by a pillow full of AIDS.
That sounds like a reasonable diagnosis.
Yeah, no, it was totally reasonable. And I went like, oh, damn, like, did I get a pillow full of AIDS? Like, what is going, like, what is in this pillow? What's wrong with my sheets? Like, oh, no. And then when I found out like a day or two later, like what's a sick call, and I got them to look at it, and they're like, yeah, dude, what do you think it is? And I was like, I don't know. One of the PJ Cones, who's medic, told me it was a pillow full of AIDS. And they're like, you're really dumb. That's not a real thing. Like, how old are you? And I was like, I'm 27. They're like, you think that's real? And I was like, no, I think it's funny. That's why I said it to you. Like, I say funny things. So they ended up like treating me with something. I think I actually have it in my permanent medical record. And then when I got back in the room, I found out there was like a line of ants from all the food and shit that this guy had left in that room. And it was just like fire ants that had just feasted on my face while I was asleep. And I was so out of it, I didn't even wake up. Terrible.
Oh my word!
But if you ever get a chance
to, can't have nice things.
It's why dude, I had to scrub everything. It was so gross. But if you ever get an opportunity to suggest that someone might be suffering from a pillow full of AIDS, I have now given that to you to carry on, as well as anybody listening.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to forget that. I'm going to be using that all the time.
You can't forget it. Like once you've heard it, it will never leave your brain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, what's going on in your heart tonight?
I wanted to get your take, man. Like this morning, once. That was just an absolutely fantastic show. I know I'm not trying to like inflate your head or anything, but that was so freaking awesome because, Kyle, you hooked us up. We didn't have to watch that retardation. We didn't have to do it.
I asked if anybody saw it, so I knew what I was getting into.
You watch all that stuff already.
Dude, I didn't want to.
But you have the retard antibodies from everything you have to already look at. And, the rest of us, we're all nice and innocent, right? And we don't, that stuff would hit us way harder. It'd be like a pillow full of AIDS, man.
It would be right in the face.
To the brain.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but like you did such a freaking good job with that. And dude, I can't wait for tomorrow because I expect there's going to be some stuff about the whole, the Elon and the Trump thing. But what has been most bizarre to me, or it's almost like it's just proof of what society's like right now. People are either you're on team A or team B.
And if you don't agree with everything from A, you're a problem.
Yeah. And what essentially this is, I mean, like I don't know what to call it, tweeted, X, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, like I had mentioned,
that sounds weird.
It's like freaking, you got to be on the team of my idol. My idol is freaking awesome. It looks so super cool. It's made out of gold. And it's like, no, my idol is made out of platinum and it's got diamond nipples. And, everybody's all, they're all spun up on how their favorite person is so great and the other one has to be bad. They can't both be like, hey, look, maybe they're both just retarded. Maybe they're both just acting childish and they're both just, using the soapbox that they've got to dig at each other. And because they're so used to being the top dog and, wherever they're at, it's like they can't, get past it. Somebody has to be humble and it's not something they're used to being.
And they don't want to. Yeah.
We as, observers. Yeah. And we as observers, man, we got to realize, dude, don't freaking idolize these people. Don't be like, hey, on this team or on that team. Like you and I can disagree about plenty of stuff. I like you because you've got that superpower where you talk really fast and you don't stumble over your words. And that is freaking rare. That's ultra rare. Dan Bonfivehead, dude, he couldn't do that to save his life, man. He always like resorts to swear words and stuff like that whenever he, gets too much going on in his brain. But, we can disagree, still respect each other, still find things we like about each other. But it cannot be like, hey, this side it's all or nothing. You've got to be on this side, or you're just dead to me. That's like what Dan did to you.
I had this moment, somebody who's been following me for a long time, whose account I recognize, but I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but I assume it's a woman, although it might be a man. It's just like, the person doesn't have like a profile picture and doesn't have a name of a person in it. So I don't know what that person is. But came out and was like, I've been one of your biggest supporters since the beginning. I'm like, supporting me? How? Like, I have one supporter in the world that I'm aware of. It's my wife. Everyone else, like, if I don't know you and we haven't you're not my biggest supporter. I'm just going to tell you, like, I don't know. And more importantly, I don't agree with you on this thing. That doesn't mean that I think you're a terrible person or that I want bad things to happen to you. Here's the news flash. Welcome to reality. I think a lot of people's opinions on things are dumb, and I have to assume that some people think that my opinions are dumb also. And that's called being alive. This is not that hard. Like, can we not just agree that we're not going to agree on everything? I don't even agree on everything with my wife. I don't agree on everything with my best friend.
I remember seeing that too. I remember seeing that person I'm reading. I'm like, dude, how freaking childish is this person? Like,
just take it easy.
Oh my goodness, you've lost my good opinion, Kyle. I hope you feel bad.
Sometimes I do stuff like this.
What?
So I made I interviewed Tim Kennedy, and like him or not like him, it actually doesn't really matter that much to anybody because like I had an opportunity to talk to him. We did. And it was really interesting because it started off as a phone call or like a video conference, right? And we did a video like remote interview. And he was sitting in the car outside of a boxing gym, and he lives in Leander, so he's like down the street from me. And I knew that, but I didn't want to bother him. I didn't want to like have him, show up in my little house studio. That seems kind of goofy. And so we did a remote, and then his phone overheated, and we had some issues technically. And so then he's like, "Send me your phone number." So I did, and he calls me up. He's like, "Hey, bro, you have an Austin phone number?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you live in Austin?" And I'm like, "No, I live in Leander." And he was like, "Dude, I live in Leander." And I go, "Yeah, I know." He goes, "I probably live 12 minutes from you." So I go, "Okay." So I send him my address. He's like, "Literally exactly 12 minutes unless I don't take the toll road, in which case it'll be 14 minutes. And I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Do you want to do this in person?" I go, "Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And so I interviewed him. We had a really nice interview. He dropped down to Ranger panties within about 90 seconds of being in my house because he was changing from a workout, which made me laugh because it's like, apparently we're bros because I only do that at my bro's house. Like I've never done that at somebody I don't hang out with. And then after all of that, starts off with a handshake. It ended with him giving me a hug and leaving. It was a really nice chat. We had a fun time. And so I tell Garrett O'Boyle and Steve Friend and my buddy Phil and stuff, and I'm letting them all know this. And Garrett's like, "He's stolen valor. Like, he's a piece of shit. He starts going off on him. And I go, "Look, dude, I don't have the ability to vet like what some Delta guy said or some SF dude did downrange. I just don't. And I'll be more honest with you. I actually don't care." And he was like, "Well, you should care and this and that and this." And I was like, "I know, but I don't." And he was like, "You're better than that, Kyle." Like, "Yes, you do." I go, "Garrett, you've just found one of the few things that you and I are going to disagree on. Let's just leave it at that because who cares?" And he started laughing. He was like, "Yeah, you're right." I'm like, "You're not going to convince me because I don't care. You cannot make me care about stuff I don't care about. And you should be able to accept that from people if you respect them." It's like, okay, we just don't have common ground here. We don't have to agree on everything.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
That just seems so simple.
There's plenty of stuff. Yeah, there's plenty of stuff you and I, don't agree on, but it's like the core things that are I want to say that are more like character, framework of people, like, hey, morals,
yes.
Basic guidelines, basic decency, stuff like that. That is, something, okay, we can agree on those things. And then it's like, sweet. Okay, if there's something else, like you like, ketchup on your eggs or something freaking weird, right? It's like, maybe I don't. Oh, well, big deal. It doesn't change your value.
Right. I'm not trying to feed you my eggs, right? Like, that's the key. Like,
yeah. Some people are immature, man, and they can't live life without doing that. Everything has to be on a scale of like, either you're a perfect weight, exactly like I think, or you're dead to me.
That's right. That's where we're at right now. I have this funny little thing I do now because I'm old enough to not, I don't know. I don't feel old. I feel like actually childish. Like most of the time I feel like a kid, even though I'm in my 40s. And so I go, my mother-in-law had this thing, and like, I have a pet peeve. I don't like people to tell me to try things that I don't want to try after a certain age. I just decided, like, if I'm not interested, why are you pushing this? So I'm at my mother-in-law's house. This is a couple years back. My wife and I had been married long enough that I thought I could get away with this. And she's like, tonight for dinner, we're having like whatever this meat is, and we're having this. And I made my famous cauliflower casserole. And I was like, okay. And look, like, that's fine. Like, maybe people are into that. That's fine. So she's like, I made my famous cauliflower casserole. And so as we're going around and we're serving our plate, like, that's irrelevant. Like, that's what's available. That doesn't mean that everybody has to eat all the things, right? So we go around and I'm like, yep, I'll have the meat. Yep, I'll have the whatever it was, potatoes, something like that. And it's like cauliflower. It's like, no, thank you. And she was like, oh, Kyle, you must. And my mother-in-law talks like that a little bit too. She's like, you must try my cauliflower casserole. Everybody loves it. And I was like, I don't like cauliflower. It doesn't agree with me. The taste it makes me feel nauseous. So I'm just, thank you so much. I'm sure it's awesome. It's just not for me. And she was like, oh, you have to try it. You just must try it. Like, people say it doesn't taste anything like cauliflower. I go, listen, Michelle, I'll make you a deal. You ready for this? I was like, I'll make you a deal. I was like, I will take some of the cauliflower casserole and I will taste it and try it because I must. But if I don't like it, which is almost a virtual certainty, I'm going to open my mouth and let it fall out on your floors like a 2-year-old. As long as you're cool with that, I'll do it in front of your, we had her neighbors were over for dinner. You know, there's some people over. I was like, as long as you're cool with that, then I will 100% try your cauliflower. But I can tell you, there's an almost certain chance that there will be chewed up baby Kyle spit cauliflower. And they have these like they have an old house. It was built in the 1860s. So it has like long leaf pine, and they have some gaps in the floors that are like kind of big, you know, because it's like old and you know, they've all kind of like, so there's holes in the floor that you would never be able to get this cauliflower out of. And I was like, are you good with that? And she was like, oh, Kyle, like, no, you don't have to try it. It's like, just, why are you pushing this? Why are you pushing something that is not normal? I'm a grown ass man. Like, I don't want to eat cauliflower. I've never liked a single thing that was cauliflower that I've ever had in my life, ever. I despise it. I don't want to eat it. If you put it in the crust of the pizza, I will spit it out.
The most impressive thing to me about that story is how reasonable you sounded.
Right?
You were willing to meet halfway.
That is halfway. The halfway is I'm going to give it a shot.
I didn't want to meet you halfway.
Right. The consequence of it is that it might embarrass you when I tell you the thing that I told you is true is going to turn out true. That's all. But I was going to give it a fair shot. Like if I didn't hate it, I would have said it's lovely. But there's a small chance that green eggs and ham was going to agree with me. Very small, based on a lifetime of experiences. So there you go. Why must I try it? I just want to know, like, what is going on here? I try to be more mindful about that with my kids these days too, because I remember my parents forced me to eat some stuff, and I was just like, if I have to eat another bite I'll never eat a bite of summer squash again. If somebody sneaks summer squash onto my plate, I will projectile vomit on them. I will force it to make them know that they should never have done that, because I've been very clear. Like, do not put squash on my plate ever. Like, I don't want it. I don't want cauliflower, and I don't want squash. I've got a lot of other particular things too. Like, I'm actually a real picky, like, kind of a wimp when it comes to eating, but I'm just saying. Anyway, whatever. That's funny, man. Why do we have to agree about this crap? It just agree to disagree.
Again, you sound completely reasonable, right? And then these other people want to be unreasonable, and so they push the reasonable man, like the Killdozer guy. His anniversary was yesterday.
Yeah,
Killdozer dude. You know, I found out something else. Somebody got the Killdozer and actually like fixed it up, and they added a coolant system to it, so it actually is a fully functional Killdozer again.
That's amazing. They tried to stop it with demo. I didn't realize that they used explosives to try to derail him, and it just couldn't be done.
Yeah, their demo, man, would they throw, like grenades? They'd have to have like some serious dynamite and like packed together.
You probably have to shape charge if you were going to really penetrate that, I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would do. I would penetrate it with a shape charge. That would have been my move. Which, by the way,
who would have been able to have that explosive, shape charge stuff? Who's got that?
Nobody. I mean, nobody's running around with like C4 and some det cord or like C4 and blasting caps.
No, but I mean for like the cops, law enforcement.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think any cops have access to that. I mean, unless they had unless there was like an EOD technician. So I did know a guy who was he was an FBI bomb tech, and he was kind of a stud. He was a cool dude. And he actually was involved with that Black Lives Matter killer that happened in Dallas and killed the Dallas PD officers. He was the one who actually loaded up the explosive device on the robot that they sent in and took the guy out when he was barricaded. And so,
that's sweet.
Yeah, kind of cool. And I go, so this is funny. I love like cool guy dick measuring contests when people are talking about their cool guy stuff. So that guy in Dallas, he was a Dallas FBI EOD tech, cool dude. And he goes, he was like, that was the first offensive, explosive, robotic deployment in the United States. And then another guy who was an SF veteran and an EOD tech out of Miami was in the same group with me. We were doing some shooting training or something, and he was like, "That you know of," and he was like, "No, it's documented."
No doubt,
and he was
man.
like, "Yeah," he's like, "That you know of." That makes me happy to think that
That's
maybe
so funny.
somebody was getting away with some shit like previously. I'm cool with that too.
Yeah, speaking of EOD guys, when I was in Herat in Afghanistan, I was on FOB Farah, and as Air Force guys surrounded by the Army, there's certain Army we got to deal with, but there's certain other guys that are kind of like, a little bit out there, as far as crazy people. But anyway, it was the EOD guys. Those were the dudes that were fun to hang out with. And one of them he was just showing me, hey, this is how you make a shape charge. This is how you make an EFP and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So he taught me. So, it's pretty basic things, but it was just hilarious, man. Those guys are pretty funny.
No, I love EOD. I love explosives. I really do. I think it's like one of the closest things to the pure application of physics. So there's a nerd out factor on it. But and it's been a long time since I've had. I actually still have my demo book from when I went through the combat control course out at Bragg. And one of the funny moments that happened in this weird little life that I live in was that Thomas Massey was interviewing Steve D'Antuono about the pipe bomber, right, in Washington, D.C. This is like one of these like funny little quirks that I'll just take with me forever and just be like, what a weird moment this was. Thomas Massey is asking D'Antuono about stuff, and D'Antuono voluntarily brings up my name, which is funny. And one of the things that I had gone on record and said is that we were briefed, which we were, that the pipe bombs were inert, that they looked very bomb-like, but in fact were not operational, explosives, right? And so I said that. This dude is basically trying to debunk what I said. And then he decides to throw in, with no background whatsoever, he was like, and I don't know what Kyle Servin's experience with explosives is, but like, I'm going to take the recommendation from the guys that work in our lab. And it's like, well, Kyle Servin doesn't have that much bomb experience, but I got 100 hours logged of like using C4 and dynamite and, all kinds of other nonsense. Like we did electric and non-electric demo, and we got to build shape charges, and I build a flechette stuff where we were sending all kinds of like, crap downrange. You stuff it into a bottle and blow it out that way. And like we did all kinds of improvised explosives. We did a bunch of different IEDs, and we did pressure treat. We learned how to make stuff mostly so you could clear an airfield if you had to. That was kind of the reason for the training. So how to do push charges and shape charges and cutting charges and so on. So, I have some experience. I got more experience than that guy does. Like I guarantee that. He was an accountant before he became an FBI agent. So I always thought that was funny. That's like a weird little thing in your life.
Oh yeah. Those guys, man. They did nothing even close, remotely close. Their background is absolutely nothing. It's like Lindsey Graham, the most bloodthirsty senator in the entire history of the United States, right? He's a freaking lawyer.
Yep.
He wrote a desk, man.
Yep.
He wasn't knee deep wading through blood and bodies and stacking bodies, and using them as sandbags, but he acts that way.
Right.
It's so annoying.
Well, and then he says it in a voice that's Lindsey Graham's voice, which makes you know that he's just picturing all the pretty boys that go to war.
Dude, seriously, he seems like one, man. He seems like he would be buddies with Jeffrey Toobin.
There's a lot of stories about Lindsey Graham. All gross. All gross.
I can read body language and facial expressions, and yeah, I believe it. I don't have to see anything. I believe it already.
I just got a message from Joe Altman, says that he didn't go to jail for contempt, and sounds like he did okay today. So that's good. I got to touch base with him later.
Awesome. Prayers answered, man.
Yeah, for sure. He was at peace with it. We had like a nice long chat about it day before yesterday. It sounded like he thought it was happening. So that's kind of cool to hear. I'm always happy that I sold. I'm such a turd. My buddy's like, dude, I might be sent to prison. And I was like, why? And he was like, because I'm not going to give up the source. And so if they push me on it and hold me in contempt, then I'm going to prison. And I was like, that's cool. And then the next time I was like, how you doing, buddy? And he was like, we're about to go into the room and start testifying. And I was like, nice. All right. Well, I said, M is baking a cake with a file in it for you. And he was like, what? And I was like, we'll send you a cake with a file in it, asshole. Like, you can file your way out of prison. He was like, you're so weird, dude. I love that. Thanks. I'm thinking about that. I'm like, it's a real tasty cake. Just don't cut all the way through, You got to be irreverent about some of this
that's
stuff.
the best thing. That's the best thing about like veteran humor, man. You gotta make fun of things, like at all times. It helps. There's like really difficult, super stressful things, but people, if they can't sneak in, you've got to release. You can't hold it all in. So you know what? Make a funny joke, and if it's funny, laugh.
That's right. Like maybe you show up at your first formation and your eye is swollen shut, and someone tells you had a pillow full of AIDS last night. Like you said, if I have a choice between a little AIDS or a lot of AIDS, I'll take the pillow full of AIDS versus the injection of AIDS. Just between us, just two guys talking here.
Oh man.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hit. You know what's funny? Garrett O'Boyle actually gave me a review of today's podcast this morning, and he hit me up and he said, "I'm nominating you for sainthood that you took time to listen to that interview long enough to chop it up into those pieces."
Dude, for real. I've always appreciated that when other people like listen to this stuff, because I mean, I don't want to have like sinful thoughts and just be, wishing people, burn in hell. I try and be mellow, so it helps when folks like you, are able to listen to that stuff and just give us the nice Cliff Notes version.
I gave you 90% of it. All I did was cut out Sean Hannity talking incessantly, and I gave you a little taste of what Sean Hannity was about. But that was the entirety of it. The only thing I didn't cover was Dan Bongino saying, "You're damn right. You're going to get the entirety of the story on the COVID origins." Like he went on some tip about that. Like Dan has any business talking about COVID origins? It's like, come on, dude.
Yeah, no kidding. Like I expect literally nothing from him at all. Period.
Mm.
But speaking of Hannity, dude, his laugh, it could not be any more fake. Why doesn't he just stop? It's
why does he,
Sean?
Why does he do interviews?
We know that's a fake laugh, so don't do it.
It's kind of like
it's so retarded.
I don't know why he talks to people and does why doesn't he just ask people for talking points and their thoughts, and then he could just do a show without them? Because he doesn't like having anybody else. He just wants to hear what Sean Hannity has to say, which is fine.
Apparently it's easy to be a guest on his show, man. He'll tell you everything to say.
It's the worst. I cannot stand when someone tries to feed me an answer before I do. And listen, it comes from, so this is the psychology of it. I think the background psychology is that you don't have enough respect for the person that you're having on, that you believe that the entirety of everything rides on your shoulders, that you have to be able to fill all the airtime yourself. And so rather than ask a question and then shut your mouth and see what happens next, you try to feed them the answer. And the second piece of it is egotistical as well. What you're trying to do is show how smart you are. I'm so smart, right? So I'm going to tell you what I think the answer is. Don't you agree? That's what's going on there.
Yeah.
It's atrocious. It's atrocious for interviewing. It's really bad to be on the other end of it because you're like, why am I here? If you're just going to say the answer, just talk to yourself, dude.
Yep. All that's true. And it's just like, you can tell, like, I know him and Dan are buddies because Dan tells you all about his famous friend. Just ask him one time and he'll tell you, and it'll take like 30 minutes later, and then he'll start in on his weekend update. But anyway, like you could tell, like Sean was just trying to be buddy. He knows Dan is freaking burying himself because his credibility is non-existent. It's only there still with the people, that would buy cans of his farts just to huff them. They love him so much.
You love that.
But you could tell he was doing that. Well, I know, but you can believe it, man.
No, it's
totally
real.
would, dude.
I know it is. I had someone type at me, whatever. Actually, I think it was somebody in our chat, maybe this morning, was like, I consider Dan a friend. I was like, really? How well do you know Dan? I was like, you're
exactly.
It was like, well, I've never met him in person. I'm like, how many other freaking friends do you have that you haven't met? What are you talking about, dude? Come on. Be better than that.
Those are people that have got like 2,000 Facebook friends and they say, I've got 2,000 friends. It's like, no, you don't. Ron Swanson said it best. When it comes to friends, 2 to 3 is sufficient.
Yeah. I don't need more than that. Well, I did a thing with Facebook back in the day. We were bringing up MySpace the other day. I weaned down my Facebook experience early on, and it was really funny to me because I just was like, I haven't talked to that person in 2 years. Like, why do I have them on my page? Gone. And I would just unfriend people like over and over again. And I was like, I'm not friends with them. Like, if I needed something, I would never call them. So why am I connected to find out what they're doing in their life? I don't give a shit. Like, they don't give a shit about me. Like, let's stop. And I got it down under 100 because that seemed like a fair number of connections for an internet connection, right? 100. And so I was like, cool. And when I got to 100, I sent out a message to all 100 people. And it was really straightforward. I just said, if you can read this, I think you're probably my actual friend, which means you actually have my phone number. I'm shutting this account down. Like, I'm done. There's no reason for this stupid thing. If you need me, you know where to find me. Email me or call me. Thanks so much. Like, adios, Facebook. And then I was done and I shut it down. And that was it.
Man, you and me both, dude. Don't you feel so much better? I do.
I have hundreds and hundreds. I might have thousands of friend requests on Facebook because I opened it up when we started doing the show. And I know some people make real money on it. I think Dan Bongino made a lot of money on there. I don't know how you make money on it, but apparently you can make money the same way you do off YouTube and everything else from ads. And I can't figure it out. And I hate Meta. I hate the way that their software is run. I despise it. Everything about it makes me angry. I don't like Instagram. I don't like anything they do. So like, I just have hundreds, if not thousands of Facebook friend requests that I don't know what to do with. I've never approved them. I think I'm friends with like 3 people. I think I'm friends with my first sergeant from when I separated back in 2012, like who I haven't talked to in 14 years or 13 years. But First Sergeant Santiago's on there, and then like some guy that I knew when I was in college who was friends with a friend of mine, and I think that's it. And I think maybe Eric, our chat moderator, might be one of them, or maybe Ryan Matta. I don't know what to do with it. I hate it. I hate the idea of it. It makes me mad. It confuses me too. Let's be real.
Well, you're doing good now, though, man. You got plenty. You got thousands of friends on X, right?
So many friends. They're my biggest fans. I don't want to have fans. I just want people that consider information and that are ideologically aligned when they want to be. That'd be good. You know, it's nice that people support what we're doing here, what I'm doing here. But I feel like it's a we, because without the other half of it, like there's bullshit fake humility, and I've heard plenty of people use it. But like, honestly, if people aren't listening, that I'm not, there is no show here. So it is a we thing. I think that the other half of it, I look at that chat as the other half of it every morning. It's like, I have people that are expecting me to be there. So that's good. You need that, you know? Man needs people to put a burden on him and expect him to lift it.
Well, and truth be told, man, I mean, it is a we, especially when it comes to, you know, the way the world is going, the way politics are, the way these life situations are happening, and we're all reacting to it. We're all, you know, feeling a lot of the same things. And so, you know, it's not like I'm only here by myself feeling like, oh, hey, Dan's a douchebag, or, you know, all these guys that were promising all these things. Oh, it turns out they suck at life. You know, it's like relying on a broken reed, leaning on a broken reed. It's going to pierce your hand. It's not going to support you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is a we, because we all see what's going on. We all can be reasonable. We all can, you know, talk about the things that we agree upon. We can calmly talk about the things we disagree on, but still interact and, you know, not shut each other out. That is a we. The people that are just like, oh, you don't like Dan now, or we hate you now, or for whatever reason, man, dude, I saw so many of them. I want to be like, dude, I want to respond to them. I'll be like, oh, he'll somehow figure out how to keep living. You know, oh, well, that's too bad.
Yeah, I'm going to survive. I will make it.
Yeah, because we're all feeling, you know, we're all feeling relatively, you know, the same about a lot of things, man. So in my opinion, dude, it counts as a we.
Well, that's fair. All right. Well, while we're crowdsourcing ideas, chat, you guys are involved here on this as well. So I'm gonna start scanning the chat. I have a problem, and I want somebody else to give me an outside opinion on it. Are you prepared for this? It's not a big problem.
Send it.
I have a new neighbor that moved in. We had a vacant house next door for a couple months. New neighbor moved in. Haven't had any interactions. Gave him space to move in. We'll go and introduce ourselves later. I think my wife brought cookies over. And new neighbor has a cat, a big one, like a big, ugly ass, orange looking cat. And it is an indoor-outdoor cat from everything I can tell. And it apparently has been hanging out in my yard. One of my daughters saw it and thought it was a dog. It's good size. It's like a 25-pound cat or something. And my daughter thought it was a dog.
Looks like a Maine Coon.
I don't know, dude. I don't know what breed it is. I know it's a cat and I don't like cats. So apparently it also crapped in our yard, and my wife picked it up, and she's really worried about like toxoplasmosis or whatever. I have a kind of a firm rule that my yard, my rules. And so I also have like multiple suppressed 22 options, bolt gun, handgun, take your pick, high volume can, like you won't hear it. Orange tabby sounds right. So the question is, do I need to give the neighbor like a, hey, you should keep your cat in your yard. If it comes in my yard and craps, like you'll never find it again because coyotes live in my yard, or whatever excuse I decide to say out loud? Or do I just put the ow and meow? What do you think?
I think the most reasonable response is airsoft.
I have an airsoft.
Do you remember you remember the Medina dorms back on Herbert Field? We had dorms just like that.
Okay.
We would have airsoft wars, dude. You get some of those high powered ones, man. I have one. They're gonna leave marks.
Okay. Thump the cat.
With some airsoft, that thing will definitely figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a like a pump shotgun airsoft, and I got a little AR style shorty airsoft thing. They're actually pretty good. I also feel like justifiable in just dropping it because, there's like a big lot behind me, and there's animals. It's the circle of life. You found you went into a predator's space, and for some reason, letting people know. I've been telling people for years that I'm willing to put the ow and meow, and I am willing to put the ow and meow with, Everybody said, don't kill the cat. Go tell the neighbor. Listen, I feel like that would be a reason. But like, here's the problem. Here's my problem. If I go be like, hey, dude, your cat is in my yard. It needs to not ever be in my yard. I am allergic to cats, and I will treat it like cauliflower. Right? You got to make sure it's not in my yard, and otherwise it may not ever be in your yard again. How do people take that? They'd be like, it's just a cat. It just goes wherever I want. It's like, I have night vision and thermal. You should understand. Like, I'm fully committed to this. There's definitely coyotes out in the property, Why does everybody love cats?
Dude, even in my neighborhood.
Go ahead.
Yeah. One thing that's kind of like I don't know what you want to say, like a litmus test or whatever. Like, okay, am I really in danger? Am I just like on the verge of going crazy or not? The fact that I haven't killed animals. Once I go past that, then it's really iffy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It does break a pane of glass of like what kind of things I'm willing to do for sure. Did somebody say call the city walk?
Cat.
I could what?
You could mail the cat to them. Not like, officially through the postage, but dude, just box the cat up, duct tape, tape the porch.
If I'm going to put a cat in the box, I'm throwing it over the fence. I'll just airmail it back where it came from. Yeah. Our chat is very helpful and full of like all kinds of like completely unreasonable and ridiculous ideas. Like, you should just use pepper spray. Cats hate pepper spray and cayenne. It's like, dude, I have a 21-month-old child like running around out there that doesn't understand that gravity is real. I'm not going to put, she'll eat pepper and rocks and anything else. And we can't do that. I can't put that out there. So anyway,
yeah,
the options are actually fairly limited. Is warn the neighbor or just take action. I probably should warn the neighbor, but
yep. I think.
If you never hear about the story, the story again,
airsoft.
Yeah. Well, the airsoft thing's not a bad idea. I don't have to warn anybody to send airsoft downrange. I can deploy the airsoft solution.
Exactly.
I could send the airsoft under night vision.
You never talk about it again.
You'll assume.
I'll just assume there's a reason.
Yeah. Actions had to be taken. Inevitable course of action.
As long as I don't know anything, plausible deniability.
That's the way it works. We compartmentalize this. We'll just silo this knowledge. Everybody got to vote very loudly. Everyone said their thing. There's a lot of women that are really worried that I'm not going to warn these people. To be fair, that's a fair worry though, because I'm not sure I want to warn them either. I'm not sure I care. It's just a cat. Like I just gotta, If you don't care enough to make it live in your house, I don't care enough to make it come back to your house ever again.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
That's it. Oh, we just killed.
Like, how much do they actually love it?
I'm just saying, not enough. If you let it go outside in Texas, I don't know. It's not like we live in a neighborhood. It's not like we're living like where it's like a barn and it's like killing mice out there in the yard. It's not. It's not. Yeah. Now, see, this is what I like. This is the best part about it. Are you ready for this? Bucky Beltfed says, if you warn the neighbor, it proves you know it's theirs. Don't do that. See, this is
so wise.
I know. That's why we're about this.
Exactly.
I know.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is never going to come back to haunt anybody. Like I said, you'll never be able to prove anything. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because this will never be talked about again.
That's right. Having a thought experiment with a couple of friends out, that's no big deal. That's what people do.
Fun thing you could do, you could just ask Grok.
Grok. Yeah, I'm fairly
Grok is hilarious.
I do like the airsoft idea. That's a good start. We can do a continuum of force and determined.
Do you have a paintball gun?
I don't. I used to. There was a time in my life, but I don't anymore. But I do have like my buddy, like literally for no particular reason, my buddy came over and said, I can't sell these on Facebook Marketplace. Here's 4 airsoft guns, which I didn't buy. And he just dropped them off with an Alice Ruck, by the way, which I thought was cool. Like, do you want the Ruck back?
That's cool.
And he was like, no. And I'm like, cool. All right. So I've got 2 Alex Rucks, one for me that I've been using for years and it's got thousands of ugly, nasty walk miles and fly miles and so on. And then like one for my kid.
Those are still the best Rucks, man.
Dude, mine is Vietnam era for sure. It's just ancient. And
I gotta love it.
Yeah, I took it through selections. Yeah, they can't die. I've restrung it. I actually at one point I drilled it out and I re-riveted all the rivets on the frame, which I do recommend. And yeah, it's bulletproof. Like I dropped that out of a plane with me in a heartbeat. It's done some dive training with me. It's gone in the water, in the salt. Like it's done all the ugly stuff. And it's invincible. Like you can't break that damn thing.
It's got all the character. That's awesome.
There's probably thousands of those just hanging out in the jungles of Vietnam that can't die. What do you think?
I bet.
Right?
Yeah, I don't doubt it, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, should I privy you to a few more cuts or the same cuts again tomorrow just to get Steve Friend's dry run on it because he doesn't like it?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. So that's probably what's up. Why are people trying to tell me a cat is not a threat? I determine the threat. You don't get to determine the threat. It's always women. Women always want to defend animals that are not theirs.
How big it is?
Yeah, it's not cool, man. It can't be hanging out in my yard. It's the size. It's probably the weight of my daughter, my tiny one. For sure.
Yeah, maybe a pellet gun.
I got one of those too.
Might be a little too light.
I know. I'm thinking it's got really thick fur. It may not even care. So, but then again, I could do a sub 22 round. That's kind of like a pellet gun.
Right? Chop his tail a little bit.
I can shoot accurately too. I got a red dot on that thing and I could put it where I want it. Just like hit it in the tail or something and just teach it not to hang out with me anymore. It's like, dude, this is where you got shot in the tail. You can't hang out in this yard. It's not for you. Is that?
I bet that would work, man.
It's very humane of me, I feel like, too.
Yeah, it's still alive. It just got educated. That's it.
Yeah, a lot of people had a lot worse happen to them, and they've still been able to make totally, useful lives after significant injuries. A little winging in the tail might be just be the attitude adjustment and maybe the respect for property that this thing needs.
Yep.
Someone said shoot it in the ass. Well, see, we have a mixture of psychopaths and bleeding hearts and disinterested. That's my favorite. Like I said, the we here is good. It's useful. That's all I know.
You just got to think, okay, how much would be too much evidence? Okay, obviously something happens, you wing it in the leg, pretty obvious. The tail, however, cats are known for getting their tails jacked up all over the place all the time. That's
there's wrought iron fences.
So that is a reasonable thing.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
All kinds of stuff going on. Plus, we live right next to a pond. There's about 300 open acres behind me. of just open property, barbed wire and stuff like that, you know.
And it chooses your yard to crap in?
Right? Doesn't that seem problematic?
The freaking Democrat cat, man.
I'm saying it. Yeah. I'm going to tell people that's what it is too. What kind of cat was it? I used to tell people I had a little terrier for a while, and she would fight like anything. She would fight any animal, no matter how big it was. Right. And so people, and she was like a mixture of like a rat terrier and something else. Like, I don't know what she was, but she was like a mix. And so people would be like, what kind of dog is that? And I go, she's an Israeli terrier. And they're like, what is that? I'm like, oh, they're just known for fighting like 3 or 4 times their body size. Like they're just fearless. And they were like, oh, that's cool. It's like, yeah, it's cool. She was a fighter.
You should have told them you rescued her from underground dogfighting pit.
We rescued her from my mom's house. So that's kind of the same thing.
Oh, okay.
My parents were done with her, and she climbed in the car with us, and my wife adopted her. And then 2 years later, she bit my oldest daughter in the face. And I put her on an 8-hour clock before I was going to execute her in the backyard too. And we ended up giving her away to some stranger. I was like, don't ever let her around kids again, because she just bit my kid in the face, and I'm about ready to shoot her in the back of the head. Like, I wanted to. I really did. I was so mad. I was like, that's probably not the right thing to do. Because she was a decent dog for a couple of years, I gave her the opportunity to go find another home within a very narrow parameter. So she lucked out.
Let's just say I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah, it's funny. You could take something, it's like, you're like, that's my dog. Like, and then it bites your kid, and you're like, your life is forfeit. It's over. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, it's like,
like all the feelings
you
are erased.
had one job.
Yeah.
Don't bite the kids. Yeah. One job.
She bit the kid because my oldest daughter, who was like less than 2 years old at the time, was touching the food bag that she had. So she was making the crinkly noises, and the dog got super agitated and thought her food was being threatened and bit her in the face. Missed her eye by about ½ inch. Like right into the cheek, 2 pieces, like lower cheek and upper cheek, and just below the orbital socket. Just missed her eye.
No, man.
Dude, it was...
I don't know how you didn't strangle her just right there.
I grabbed her by the neck, and I threw her like a bowling ball into her cage, and I locked her, and I kept her away from me for a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I was on the edge. I was like, nah, let's drag you out and shoot you in the head. That's the right answer. Not a good animal. Anyway, but I controlled it, which is exactly what I'm doing with this cat. We're being controlled here. We're just hypothetically solving.
Good for you, man. Yeah, good for you. That's a skill. Not everybody can do it.
Not everybody can do it. That's right. Well, let's take this to the end here. You want to hear the Ezekiel bit? The weirdos like that a lot, so we'll do our traditional sign off here. The Ezekiel and Tony. You want to take the final thoughts of the night?
Sure. I actually got a scripture to read.
Outstanding.
It's one that I was looking up because, where is it? I just got it. Here it is. This is Psalms chapter 146, verse 3. You'll understand exactly why I remember this. I looked for it, and I want to, get it out to everybody else. Do not trust in princes, in mortal men, in whom there is no salvation. Again, people put all their hope, all their trust, and their adoration in mere men, and always will get disappointed.
Always.
Yeah.
Garrett shares that one with me frequently. Well said.
Yeah, Garrett's a cool dude.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. I got to reach out to him and check in on him today. I saw him on the AMRAD podcast this morning, but I haven't talked to him today. A couple days, so. That's a good reminder. Anytime someone quotes a lot of scripture at me, I had somebody else talking scripture earlier, and it reminded me. And I was like, I better check in on my boy, see what he's doing. Need to figure out need to kick his ass into gear so he gets a job too. Let the FBI fire him. That seems like the right answer.
Yeah.
He'll figure it out.
Yeah.
He's got his faith.
Well, I'll be praying for it, of course.
Yeah, appreciate that too. I as well. All right. Well, I'll see you guys in the morning. We'll shut this sucker down. I'm going to play the offensive Tony Ezekiel conversation that these characters like. This makes them feel like they've got continuity, and then we'll end it like that. So thanks for scripture, and then we'll also do profanity. So that's how we do it here.
All right, brother. You take care.
All right, buddy. Have a nice night.
Bye. You too. Bye.
All right, we're kicking it down. And here goes your favorite sign-off, folks, you weirdos.
What's your name? What? What is your name? Tony! Fuck you, Tony! What's your name? Ezekiel! Fuck you, Ezekiel! Fuck you! Fuck you! Hey, you know what I did last night? You better not bring my mother into this! You know what I did? You better not! I broke that fire over there! Oh! And I fucked your mother next to it! Fuck you, Ezekiel! Fuck you! Fuck you!
Thanks for listening to The Kyle Seraphin Show, streamed live weekdays on rumble.com/Kyle Seraphin. Follow Kyle on Twitter, Truth Social, and Instagram at Kyle Seraphin.